Coming up, VCU Health will now be resuming some gender-affirming care for patients under 19. What is now approved and what is not is coming up.
Have $1,000 to spare on a ticket? That's about how much it will cost for some fans who want to see the Dave Matthews Band play at the new amphitheater.
Later, VCU InSight reporter Elena Gutowski is talking to the James River Association on the impacts of flooding from the latest weather changes.
Hello and welcome to VCU InSight. I'm Kyler Gilliam.
And I'm Alex Wilson.
VCU Health is now resuming some gender-affirming care for its patients under age 19.
VCU InSight reporter Phoenix Kyle is at the Children's Hospital of Richmond with more information on the new policy.
Thank you, Alex and Kyler. Take a look at this statement released on the hospital's website last week. In it, they announced that they will resume providing gender-affirming medications to existing patients when appropriate. Earlier this year, VCU Health announced they would stop providing gender-affirming care to all patients under 19 in order to comply with President Donald Trump's executive order. However, after reviewing the executive order, VCU Health has decided some care can resume, but gender-affirming surgeries are still suspended. New patients will only be able to receive counseling and mental health services. VCU Health says they will work to transfer any patients seeking gender-affirming care to non-VCU Health providers as soon as possible. In Charlottesville, the University of Virginia's health system also announced they would resume providing some gender-affirming care to underage patients. In Richmond for VCU InSight and the newsroom at VCU, I'm Phoenix Kyle.
A new store on Richmond's north side is hoping to bring the community together through books. VCU InSight reporter Kendall Taylor is at I Love You So Much Books with more on what the shop has to offer.
Bookstore owner Mariela Gavino wants to be in charge of her own story and saw an opportunity when the storefront opened up on Richmond's north side.
I had been doing the pop-ups for a while. They were pretty successful, and I just thought there might not be any harm in asking, and it ended up being affordable and available.
Gavino has previously done pop-up bookstores in New York City and Washington, D.C., but decided Richmond was a place to open I Love You So Much Books.
It's a good city for trying new things, so it's very forgiving, and people are always willing to help you out. And so with the pop-ups, it was pretty easy to get my foot in the door.
From pop-ups to brick and mortar, I Love You So Much Books is bringing new and used stories to the north side. The shop features a diverse selection of titles that Gavino puts a lot of thought in collecting.
I curate my books just kind of based on what I want other people to read or what I personally want to read. So I tend to stray more towards radical books, authors of color, women.
According to a report done by Pen.org, a nonprofit that fights against censorship for writers, says in the 2023 to 2024 school year, there were over 10,000 book bans in the U.S., and Virginia was among the top 5 states.
There's a reason they want to ban it, and it's because they don't want you to think like that or to, possibly discover something new. People love buying banned books, and I think it's not going to stop.
And the news of her wide array of books is quickly spreading, and Richmonders are coming out to show their support.
It's always fun to check out new and upcoming shops in Richmond. So.
Especially bookstores.
Yeah.
Especially bookstores that support used books, because there's so many used books that need to keep going around, and I love getting secondhand book.
And reactions like these are Gavino's hope for the store.
Them to be able to be exposed to different narratives and lifestyles and, different ways of life. And I also want to bring a sense of peace to people and kind of really bring in a sense of community.
And maybe by discovering something new, Richmonders will take hold of their own stories, just like Gavino. Reporting in Richmond, I'm Kendall Taylor for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU.
Dave Matthews Band fans hoping to see the group live in Richmond are getting hit with sticker shock. Tickets for their show at the Allianz Amphitheater have skyrocketed, with some resale prices topping $2,700. VCU InSight reporter Madison Cox has more on how fans are reacting.
I'm standing right outside Allianz Amphitheater where Dave Matthews Band will take the stage in just a few months. But if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, get ready to pay up. This right here is the cheapest resale ticket I could find, going for a whopping $700. General admission tickets started around $100, but after selling out fast on LiveNation.com, resale prices have shot up. Axios reports that on third-party sites, floor seats are now listed for over $2,700. People on social media are furious, calling the prices ridiculous and even blaming the new amphitheater for allowing resales to get out of control. While some die-hard fans say they're willing to pay whatever it takes to be there, others are calling it price gouging and not too happy with how the venue is handling it. Would you drop hundreds or even thousands to see your favorite band live? Reporting outside the Allianz Amphitheater for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Madison Cox.
Richmond's premier black restaurants continue to make history in joining the city to help the community. VCU InSight's Naya Gary tells us more on the events that provide meals for free.
I'm right here off of Hull Street, standing outside of Philly Vegan, which is just one of 7 black-owned restaurants that partner together for one common goal: to feed the community. The restaurants have been participating in a special 3-day event called Pay What You Can. It started with the owners of Philly Vegan, Samuel Vinay, Celicia Hartridge, and Radha Chai. Each restaurant's owners set up a set time and a Pay What You Can menu for the community to choose from. If there is an item displayed that you cannot afford, the item is offered to you for free. The restaurants participating include Croaker Spot, Mama J's, the original Ronnie's Barbecue, Urban Hang Suite, Charles Kitchen, Inner City Blues, and of course, Philly Vegan. In just 2 days, the participating restaurants say that they have collectively fed over 1,000 people. Philly Vegans say that they will continue to host Pay What You Can events to continue to feed the community throughout this winter. Reporting in Richmond for VCU InSight and the newsroom, I'm Sanaya Gary.
The Richmond Black Restaurant Experience is celebrating its 9th year, and starting next week, Mobile Soul Sunday is back.
I sat with co-founder Kelly Lemon to speak about how the organization's Signature Week has grown. The Richmond Black Restaurant Experience Week highlights black-owned restaurants in the Richmond area. Co-founder Kelly Lemon expressed how this week is going to feel for the people that are going to attend.
They're gonna feel the joy, they're gonna feel the laughter. When you get black folks together and there's a lot of food, you can't help. Again, it's soul, it fills your soul.
Now it has grown into a year-round showcase for black-owned businesses, and the businesses that take part have seen major growth.
I mean, that's money. That's the fact that we've seen some businesses have expanded.
Michael Lindsay, owner of Lindsay Food Group, says his profits increased specifically during this week and has grown since he became a member of the Richmond Black Restaurant Experience.
Man, the week that we do Restaurant Week, Black Restaurant Week, is incredible. Sales doubles at all of our restaurants. It's hands down our busiest week every year.
2 events are being held for this Signature Week starting on Sunday. Mobile Soul Sunday on March 9th in Monroe Park, and the Stick a Fork in It Block Party on March 16th.
Along with the plethora of food options, there's going to be a live DJ for both the Mobile Soul Sunday and the Stick a Fork in It Block Party. And this is also a great opportunity to get your own Richmond Black Restaurant Experience merch, including t-shirts. This is a great opportunity for everybody in the family to go out and eat great food and support black-owned businesses.
The events also feature black-owned products. Lindsay also makes tequila and says the other businesses support each other by purchasing those products.
But this is a hub for someone who has a great seasoning, for us to support that, right? So the goal for me and having it here today is to introduce it to the people that are in our community so that they can support us, and in turn we give that support back.
The Richmond Black Restaurant Experience will be adding a second week in September, signaling the growth of the organization in its first decade.
I'm standing in Monroe Park, the site of the Mobile Soul Sunday. This entire park will be filled with black vendors and will be the kickoff for the Richmond Black Restaurant Experience. Reporting at VCU for VCU InSight in the newsroom at VCU, I'm Kyler Gilliam.
School districts in the Richmond metro area are navigating the challenge of snow day cancellations in the school year. Nobody has felt the effect of these snow days more than parents and school staff. Students in the Richmond metro area have missed about a full week of school or more due to snow days or the city water crisis. Teachers and parents have had to navigate through the challenges of staying home, remote learning, and reworking curriculums. Chesterfield teacher Vicki Pittman says these challenges make it harder for teachers to get more work done.
So our school schedule, since we have missed the amount of days that you're allowed plus 2 extras. We now have to cut our half days, the half day of teacher time that we had to complete report cards or make necessary phone calls to parents or conferences. So now we don't have that time.
Chesterfield County announced their upcoming early release days on March 21st and May 29th will be changed to full school days. Other counties in the Richmond area made announcements on their plans to adjust to the missed days.
Following intense weather in February from heavy rainfall to snowstorms, Richmond Dock Street flood wall closed for the first time since 2020 as the James River overflowed.
VCU InSight reporter Elena Gutowski is in the studio talking to the James River Association about the health of the river.
Thank you, Kyler and Alex. I'm joined by Linnea Bennett from the James River Association. Thank you for joining me today, Linnea.
Thanks for having me.
So, for those who might not know, can you tell me a little bit about the James River Association and what it does?
Sure. So the James River Association is a nonprofit, and we are dedicated to protecting the James River and connecting people to it. So we sort of have 2 focuses. One is education, so we do education programming with K-12 students, providing them meaningful outdoor experiences and STEM education, and we also do a lot of conservation work. People may not know just how big the James River really is. Right here in Richmond, it's obviously the backdrop to so much of what we do, but it starts all the way out in western Virginia in the Allegheny Mountains, flows through Lynchburg, Scottsville, Richmond, and all the way out to the Chesapeake Bay. So our conservation team is working with a lot of different communities and really diverse ecosystems along the way, whether they're building forested areas with riparian buffers, building living shorelines to prevent erosion, and also doing community conservation work in urban areas like Richmond and Petersburg, especially around issues like stormwater and things like that.
And what are the environmental repercussions of an event like the river flooding?
There are a lot of repercussions. I mean, we are always concerned about what would happen to communities and infrastructure, but there's equally a question about what happens to the river. And so when there are floodwaters that come into an area, when the water recedes, all of that flows into the river. So that can include things just like sediment or dirt, which is actually the #1 pollutant in the James River, as well as anything that's running down the street. It can then end up back in our waters and have a negative impact on the aquatic species that live there. We also worry about things like logs or other sort of major blocks, creating areas, obstructions in the river for wildlife, or even up on banks and things like that. So there's certainly a lot to think about once that water flows back out into the James River.
Right. And you mentioned wildlife and marine life. How are they impacted by the change in the water level and the debris in the water?
There are so many species that call the James River home, whether it's fish like Atlantic sturgeon and striped bass, or bald eagles and ospreys. But there are also species that are really critical to the health of the river itself. So if you think of something like an oyster or a mussel, which are really master filters and can filter water quality. So we're making concerted efforts to build up those populations because they do such a great job protecting the river. If they get overwhelmed by either, in the case of an oyster, too much fresh water from a flooding event coming in, that can impact their survival. There are also plants like underwater grasses that are really important to the ecosystem. And if there's too much dirt in the water, light can't filter through to help those grasses grow and thrive.
And how long does it take for the river to return to normal after an event like this?
In the event of a normal rainfall, we typically say wait 1 to 2 days before you enter the river, just because, as we talked about, that rain can bring in bacteria and other pollutants into the river. But when it comes to a major flooding, it can be much longer than that. The other thing to think about is, even if we have rain here in Richmond, if there has been major rains or flooding events further upstream, like in Lynchburg, all of that's made its way into the water will flow down. But it doesn't really, you don't have to be an expert to look at the water, and if it looks a little bit more like chocolate milk than a regular river, to know that that's probably not healthy. But the good news is that there are things that we can do to prepare the river to be more resilient in the face of these flooding events. So when we do things like plant riparian buffers or basically more trees to build forested area, that stabilizes stream banks. Or in the tidal James, which is the lower James where the water is saltier and more brackish, we're building living shorelines with native plants and grasses and oyster castles to once again stabilize the shores and prevent that erosion. So the more that we can do to support the river, the easier it's going to be for it to return to normal after a major flooding event.
Thank you so much, Linnea. You can learn more about the James River Association on their website, thejamesriver.org. Back to you, Kyler and Alex.
During spring break, we turned the clocks forward and witnessed the warmer days throughout the week. But coming up this Wednesday, we will have a low of 50 degrees and a high of 74 degrees.
That's right, Alex. Leading into Thursday, we will have a low of 36 degrees and a high of 70 degrees, and prepare for some afternoon showers. We want to thank you all for turning in to VCU InSight.
Our reporters will continue to work hard gathering stories for you.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Until then, see you in our next newscast on March 27th. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Kyler Gilliam. Goodbye.